Oh my goodness, man. It's your boy C-Jax back with another video. And today we got to talk about Smackdown. It was around like 9:30, 9:40 when Shinsuke Nakamura and Tonga came out to have a no-name, nobody cares match. At this point in the show, I shut it off entirely. You guys know I'm still on my streak of over a year of not watching SmackDown in its entirety from start to finish. But guys, it's just getting worse. This is by far the worst episode of SmackDown I've ever seen in my life. Now, I understand that I've said that like 15 other times, but that should let you know how bad 15 other episodes were and how bad the other 30, 40 episodes I've reviewed are that are just complete garbage for the most part, and maybe 5 to 10 of them have actually been anything above average or good. Here's the problem, guys. This show sucks. There are no stars, there are no storylines, there's no drama, there's no intrigue, and we are in the road to WrestleMania, and this feels like a show that could have taken place in November or December. It feels like a taped SmackDown. There's no real energy, nobody cares about what's happening. Drew McIntyre is the WWE champion, right? He's absolutely jacked, he's 6'5", we get all the attributes, he's great on the mic, all this stuff, and all they had him do tonight is run away after brawling for 20 seconds. The opening of the show, he comes out, does his entrance, brawls with Cody, and then just runs away. Then he comes out later in the night, talks to Jacob, or doesn't even say anything, grabs the mic, and then brawls with Jacob Fatu barely, and this kid just runs away from Jacob Fatu. Then backstage, Damian Priest says, "You don't want any more problems with me and R-Truth," because he said that Drew McIntyre already has too many problems. So Damian Priest, a jobber who obviously knocked out the Drew McIntyre at Saturday Night's Main Event last year, tells Drew, the WWE champion, "Hey, you don't want any problems, just keep it moving, bro." And Drew McIntyre just keeps it moving. Drew McIntyre, as champion, is a failure already, and that's why even in the video when I said that when I was reviewing him winning the championship in the 3 stages of hell match, we all knew this wasn't going to work, and I said that in the video. I said literally word for word, this reign is probably going to suck, and it already has. Drew McIntyre has done nothing but run away for 3 weeks. That's all he's done. He just keeps on running away from people. He runs away from Damian Priest and R-Truth, Ronaldo killings. He runs away from Jacob Fatu. He runs away from Cody Rhodes, who he beat in a 3 stages of hell match. And you ask yourself, why is he running away? It's because Triple Fraud has no idea how to book Drew McIntyre and didn't even want Drew to beat Cody in the first place. But Drew and Cody had to lobby for it backstage and keep asking, and eventually Triple H bent the knee because the golden child, Dr. Respect, Dr. Raheem, Dr. Libations, Dr. Rodington, Cody Rhodes, who is all he can say is, "I respect you guys." We're going to get to his garbage promo because here's what happens. All he does in his promo is shout and shout and shout, and people just call it great. It's the same way that Braun Breaker like a month or two ago cut that promo where he just shouted into the camera and brought up Punk's wife and brought up how Punk is allegedly washed and all this stuff, which he is washed, but you get the point. You know what I'm saying? He's mostly washed, right? He's still got some gas left in the tank, but you get the point. He just started yelling, and everyone said the promo was amazing. It was electric. Push Braun Breaker. And now look at Braun Breaker, struggling to get out of the mid-card on Raw, that already has no stars, and he can't even get out of that mid-card. So it's just, this show is horrible, guys, and this should prove to everyone that WWE is dead. You have no more stars. You have no one coming in the pipeline. You have no interesting dynamics or any type of storylines or anything to get excited for on this show, and we're in Mania season. We're like 2.5 months from Mania, and you don't care about what happens tonight. You don't care. You know that. But a lot of people aren't even watching this show. Hence why you get record low viewership week after week after week, and we put on stinker after stinker after stinker, and I can't stop thinking about Punk, and I can't stop thinking about Randy, and I can't stop thinking about Cutie, and I can't stop thinking about Roman, and I can't stop jobbing out, and I can't stop thinking about Themi. The deal is that this show is terrible, and I don't even have the patience to sit down and review this show. You know what I'm saying, deeply. We're gonna touch over everything that happened, obviously, because I will catch up on the hour and a half of content that I missed, because there probably won't be much. So I'll just catch up on it and I'll review it later in this video. But as for the stuff I've seen, let's just run through it first. First off, we had Drew McIntyre come out. Like I said, he does the first part of his entrance and then gets jobbed out by Cody Rhodes. He brawls with him for 10 seconds and then runs away from Cody Rhodes, the guy that he beat in a 3 stages of hell match. So you're telling me that after Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes have been feuding since August, we're now in, we're in February, right? So it's been 6 months since Drew McIntyre has been feuding with Cody Rhodes. He just took the belt from him and beat him in a 3 stages of hell match, and we're still doing this feud. WrestleMania 42 season is going to be atrocious. It's going to be garbage. It already is bad because you guys already know the only thing that's positive in this Mania build will likely be Punk and Roman segments, and they will be far and few because we may get like 3 or 4 more segments between Punk and Roman before that match, but that's all we need because they're great promo workers. They know what they're doing, so I don't really care about that if I'm being real with you. However, we need someone else to step up. If we know Roman's only got 4 or 5 dates before this Mania, he'll be there like 5 of the next 10 weeks. We get that. That's great. You know what I'm saying? That's honestly a great amount of dates because you can do some really creative stuff with 5 more appearances from Roman, 4 or 5 more appearances. But the fact that you know that everyone else is there full time and they can't build anything is embarrassing. I told you guys on Raw, and I made a video later after that this week telling you guys how bad this roster is. How is it possible that Roman and Punk in 10 minutes can get us excited and you know what I'm saying, intrigued and interested in what they're doing and build some drama and you know what I'm saying, do blur the lines between what's real and what's not, you know what I'm saying? In one promo, they did that. It made the best main event segment we've had on Raw in probably a year and a half. And that's literally what they were able to accomplish inside of their segment. And meanwhile, you fast forward to your other guys who the company views as main eventers, or I guess not really Drew McIntyre, but Cody Rhodes comes out and cuts his promo after he jobs out Drew, and Drew runs away like a little kid. And Cody gets on the mic and just embarrasses himself. All he can do is start shouting. That's all these guys can do, guys. You see, when you have a promo like Roman and Punk on Monday, you realize how great of promo workers they are because you see another alleged top guy and you see how he conducts himself in this promo. Cody Rhodes gets on the mic and then basically discusses, he says, "My success, Drew, it gets in your way. You can't handle my respect. You can't handle my love." And then he literally says, "I watched Roman Reigns and CM Punk, 2 guys that I really respect and that I really admire, go on Raw and have an all-time great segment and pick each other as the main event of WrestleMania, and I'm here pissed off because I don't have a main event." And then Cody Rhodes says something really weird. He basically says, you know, Roman, I heard CM Punk say on a podcast that me and Roman are going to have a measuring contest, and they're lucky that I'm not in there because they don't call me Raheem for no reason because I have a measure with you. Let's measure our junks, guys. Let's pull out our junks and measure our junks together, Roman. And Punk, you want to measure your junk? I respect you, Punk. Let's see your junk. Like, what kind of stuff is this? This is so stupid. Cody Rhodes is a former 2-time WWE champion, and he's out here talking about measuring his junk size with Roman Reigns and CM Punk. This is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. How can Roman and Punk bury Drew McIntyre completely in the promo on Monday? So we're expecting Drew to come out with some fire and fight back and cut a great promo like he's done multiple times over the last couple years and have some fire to him, you know what I'm saying, be a great heel. And what does Drew McIntyre come out and do? He runs away from 2 people who he's supposed to be better than because he's the champion and they're not. Do you see the booking for this? This is disastrous booking for your top WWE champion in the company, allegedly, right? The WWE championship is supposed to be more than the world title. Now that Roman's involved in the world title, nobody gives a crap about the WWE championship anymore. And Cody Rhodes coming out here and talking about comparing junk sizes is just embarrassing. He has nothing to say on this mic. He then proceeds to say, he doesn't even mention Jacob Fatu, actually, by the way, and then he proceeds to say, "Drew, you eliminated me from the Royal Rumble, so I don't respect you, but you don't have to worry about that because you will not make it to WrestleMania." And the whole time he does this, he's just shouting and yelling. He's got spit flying on his face, libation dust is flying on his chin, and all he can say is the same stuff he usually says. What do you want to talk about? I'm coming for the belt. Guys, we've seen Cody Rhodes go for this championship for 2 years. He then won it and held it for 90% of the last 2 years. We're now 2 years later, and he's now fighting for the same championship. Are we not done with this already? We should be tired of this. If he fights Drew at Mania, this will be the 5th time that Cody and Drew have fought in the last 2 years. How many in the last 6 months? You know what I'm saying? By the time it comes around, it'll be in the last 8 months. We will have seen them fight 4 times, and they had one of their matches was 3 stages of Hell match, so it was 3 different match variations plus a match at Mania. That's 6 matches. Are you kidding me? How many times do we need to do this? It's boring. It's not interesting. It's drawn cold. Nobody cares about it. The booking is terrible. And you know, here's the situation. Here's another thing about the situation as well. Remember during the build to Mania 40 when Cody told The Rock, "Do you have a big dog syndrome or do you have a little D syndrome, Rock?" And then he told Cena last year in the promo leading to Mania 41, he's like, "You have more balls in those jorts than you do in that promo." I was like, bro, what? And then tonight, he literally says, "Me, Roman, and Punk are gonna compare that junk. Let's open up that bar. Like, what are you doing? You understand what I'm saying? This guy's such a jobber, bro. He says absolute nonsense. I know that, the Cody Rhodes being African-American memes, I get all of that stuff. But this dude is one of the biggest jobbers in the history of jobbery, bro. He got on that mic and had nothing to say and somehow turned it into something even stupider. I'm going to start calling him Codiddy Rhodes. Codiddy Rhodes, baby. Codiddy Rodington. This dude comes out here and embarrasses himself on this promo, and that's that. And the only reason Cody dropped that belt a month ago is basically so that he can be the one chasing, because that's when he's at his best, is when he's chasing a championship or chasing a goal. And when you see him not chasing a goal, you see how bad it is when he's champion. So all we can do, guys, this is all that the creative range is for Cody Rhodes. We either book him to chase a championship and he's boring, right? But then he maybe has one or two good promos in a build to a Mania or a build to a SummerSlam or some crap. And then after that, if he wins a championship, it's going to be a trash reign. That's all the options we have with Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes is a jobber, and it's infuriating that we see the same jobbers every week coming out. Why is it that CM Punk and Roman Reigns are the only people who can cut promos and tell stories and get me captivated in anything? Why? Even when Drew McIntyre does it, you know he's going to get jobbed out after. When LA Knight cuts a good promo, you know he's getting jobbed out after. How many great promos does LA Knight cut backstage or in the ring just to proceed to job out to the Vision, or job out to Shinsuke Nakamura, or job out to Jacoby Fatu, right? Or job out to Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Like, it's over for this guy. It's over. WWE, in the wise words of The Rock, is booking all of their top guys as walking clown emojis. You know they're not going to do anything on the mic, and you know when they wrestle, which barely happens, that they're going to get jobbed out. So I've seen enough of this. This opening segment was absolutely awful, and it furthered nothing. What was accomplished by Cody Rhodes' promo here? What, he shouted in the mic about Drew McIntyre. He's done this 5 times in the last 2 months, guys. What is this? What does this promo do that the other ones didn't? I mean, whatever. Let's just move on. We then have a match with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Julia and Kiana James. This match was trash. A bunch of botches. It's boring. Nobody cares. All these women's tag championship matches blur together and they all feel the same. It's a bunch of botches, bad wrestling, nobody cares. And in the end of the match, you'll get a finisher combo from the winning team and they'll pin the other jobber. Who cares? At Saturday Night Main Event, it was Liv and Roxanne. They fight against Rhea and Io. It comes down to a couple of finishers put together. Roxanne gets jobbed out and pinned, or Liv got jobbed out and pinned. Then she wins a Rumble, and now we're going to believe she's going to beat Stephanie Vaquer, who just won a match on allegedly one ankle. But whatever. It's just none of this makes any sense. All of this is artificial booking, and I quite frankly, I don't, what is there to say about this, guys? Rhea Ripley has not done anything in this company in like 3 or 4 years. She hasn't really felt like a superstar, to me at least, in 3 years. The last time I actually was like, wow, Rhea Ripley feels like a true megastar was like, after her match with Charlotte Flair, you know what I'm saying, at Mania 39, that was a great match. And then in the build to her and Becky, I thought she did a decent job. But outside of that, she's done nothing. She's done absolutely nothing. Her and Liv were on a hot streak in the summer of 2024 for like 3 weeks. After that ended, she's done nothing, guys. It's over for her. Io Sky's been nothing ever since she won that championship at WrestleMania, or retained it last year at Mania. She had like one match since she won or retained the title at Mania, and it was the last match she had at Evolution when she lost the belt. So what are we supposed to say about this, guys? Who's excited to see Io Sky hit a moonsault on Kiana James? Who's excited to see Julia hit the Liberace? Wade, the Liberace, Wade the Liberace. Joe, hit the Liberace. Dutchy. Stop. It's the same crap we see every week, man. This stuff is garbage. We then move on and we get a Tiffany Stratton backstage segment with Catherine Kelly, which, again, Tiffany Stratton just returned at the Royal Rumble and nobody cares. She came out to a mediocre pop, and all she has to say backstage, I wanted to show you guys this backstage segment because we have to talk about this for a second. Why is it that all Tiffany Stratton has done for 2 years in backstage segments and in promos is just say it's Tiffy time and move on? There's no stories being told. Nobody's interested in what she's saying. She was far more interesting in her run in NXT, in my opinion, and she's done nothing on this main roster that's had me entertained in the slightest. The best thing she's done is have the cash-in angle with Nia Jax. Once that finished after a month or two, nobody cared. Nobody cared, man. It was done and dead on arrival. She has done absolutely nothing, and she's just coasting through, and we're supposed to treat her like she's a main eventer? She's beating Chelsea Green, who, in my opinion, Chelsea Green is far better than Tiffany Stratton, because Chelsea Green actually works on her character. she has an actual gimmick, a character that's interesting. She knows how to entertain, and she's willing to put her body on the line more than a lot of other wrestlers are, you know what I'm saying, in these matches, and she deserves her respect for that, because Michael Hayes or whatever jobbers are booking backstage, Road Dogg, whoever it was, said that Chelsea Green is an enhancement talent. She doesn't need to be a main eventer. You know what the truth is about Chelsea Green? I have called Chelsea Green a jobber in the past. I'm not going to sit here and act like I haven't, but the reason why is because of the booking. Off of talent and entertainment value alone, she's already better than 95% of the women's roster, because no one in the women's roster besides a few people are actually entertaining now. So obviously, Chelsea Green deserves a better spot on the card than Tiffany Stratton, and no, I'm not joking. That's legitimately correct. Everybody should agree with this at this point. All this stuff that we're seeing about these wrestlers backstage about how they're not viewed as main event talent, and they're not this and they're not that, these people have no idea what they're talking about. And that's evident by the fact that whenever Chelsea is grouped in with another group of women, whether it's in the Rumble or the Chamber or a qualifying match, whatever it is, a battle royal, Chelsea Green is obviously most of the time, she's always the talk of the town, and she's the most entertaining one. It's the simple facts about the matter. There's a reason for that. And then we move on to the actual match. Tiffany Stratton advances in the Elimination Chamber because she pins Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green is clearly getting jobbed out because she spoke up on Twitter about how she was called not a main eventer and an enhancement talent by her bookers, which is just disrespectful and unbelievable that they would even say that about their talent, but whatever, man, at this point. We then move on, you know what I'm saying, because this match had nothing to offer, guys. Let's be real with ourselves. Lash Legend was the clear physical standout inside of this match. The crowd was over for Chelsea. It didn't even seem like they really cared that Tiffany won. And then Nia Jax, she's ringside. Nia Jax is a multiple-time world champion, and triple threats are no DQs. So why did Nia Jax not just help demolish everyone in that ring with Lash Legend and help her win the match in like 5 minutes? You understand what I mean? There's no logic to any of this booking. You have two heels. They're supposed to be dominant, right? They're two of the biggest women on the roster, and they're sitting out there. You have a multiple-time world champion sitting at ringside who has beef in the past with Chelsea and Tiffany Stratton, and she's just sitting there. She's just sitting there, not doing anything, taking moonsaults, cross bodies, and jobbing out. It's embarrassing. We then move on, and we get Kit Wilson, right? Kit Kat Wilson, talking about toxic masculinity. He seems to be pretty over with the crowd, so that's good for him. Nobody cares. He then gets jobbed out by Obama Femi. Obuscus Femi comes out and hits a couple uppercuts, hits the Fall from Grace pop-up powerbomb, and jobs him out. We then move on from that because there's nothing to say about this. Oba Femi, I'm already worried about this guy. He has momentum and he's over with the crowd. That's great. But triple fraud can ruin your momentum in an instant, because I forgot to even mention that Carmelo Hayes had a match tonight, guys. Carmelo Hayes had a match where he fought against The Miz for nothing. And before that, there was a backstage segment with him and Ilya Dragunov where they're basically discussing Ilya getting another shot at the U.S. title. So all that Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes have done for 3 or 4 months now is wrestle mid-card matches versus either DIY, Fraxium, or each other, Ilya and Carmelo. That's all they've done. And then maybe a Sami Zayn match once or twice in there as well. It is the same stuff on repeat. And now Carmelo Hayes is fighting a 50-year-old dang near Miz for nothing. For nothing. The title's not even on the line. Where are the storylines for this championship? Where are these storylines for Carmelo Hayes? You see Javon Evans. You see Trick Williams. He's getting a massive pop, right? You see Oba Femi. He's getting good reactions. Why is it that Carmelo Hayes comes out and barely anybody cares? Barely anybody cares. The reason why nobody cares is because when Melo moved to the main roster, he was not utilized for a few months. Then he feuded with Andrade and then lost predictably to LA Knight a couple of times. And then he did absolutely nothing the entirety of all of last year. He did absolutely nothing on any of the, he wasn't even, well, has he ever been on a PLE besides 2024 Crown Jewel or the Royal Rumble in 2025 when he got eliminated in like 3 seconds? You understand? Like, it's over. Carmelo Hayes has been booked like a jobber, and they're trying to revive him by giving him a meaningless belt. You can't gain meaning by losing meaning. That makes no sense. If you give me a meaningless title, how am I going to all of a sudden become meaningful? You're giving a jobber belt and having him fight jobbers to elevate a jobber belt. That is just, it's so paradoxical, but it is what it is, man. That's the situation with that. I have nothing to say about Carmelo Hayes. Obama Femi, he's getting booked to beat up jobbers. This doesn't accomplish anything. Have him go out there and challenge someone on Raw, like an uppercut or some stuff like that. Have him go out there and interrupt Punk on a segment, right, and cut him off and go fight him. Have him do a triple threat with with Punk and Finn for the triple threat, for the world title at Elimination Chamber in Chicago or something. Do anything. Why is everything so boring and uninventive? None of these young guys are hungry in any of these segments. They don't come out there looking for nothing except for just to yap and run their mouth and hoot and holler. That's it. So I have nothing to say about this, man. We'll see what happens with Obama Femi, but so far I'm done. Then Drew McIntyre comes out for his second entrance of the night, about to cut a promo, and brawls with Jacob Fatu. He gets destroyed. He's not even brawling. He gets beat up by Jacob Fatu and runs away again. Nobody cares. This is the classic booking of Drew. He's a jobber. Tama Tonga then fights Shinsuke Nakamura. I didn't watch it. I don't care. Let's move on. And what happens after this is basically a situation where we have, what was it, man? Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan comes out to SmackDown, which is a complete waste of time because we know she's picking Stephanie Vaquer, so why are we even watching this? She then proceeds to get on the mic and say, I have to address the elephant in the room. Yeah. What am I watching, man? Who is excited watching this? This is some of the worst content ever. The Judgment Day has been faking a breakup for 5,000 years, and we are sitting here watching Liv Morgan and Raquel quote unquote have beef and be at odds, and they're gonna address the elephant in the room, and then thank God, you know what I'm saying, like the New Day say, Jade Cargill comes out here, and Jade Cargill basically says, Liv, if you choose me for WrestleMania, I'm gonna whoop your butt. If you don't choose me for WrestleMania, or what's it called, no, after that, she basically looks over at Raquel, and she's like, what are you looking at? And then Raquel Rodriguez starts laughing, and then Liv laughs again, and says, well, Jade, if I do pick you, I can just have Raquel beat you up, and if I don't pick you, then I can have Raquel beat you up, and then we can both be champion. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, guys? This is who people are hyping up as the Royal Rumble winner? I understand that Liv Morgan, wrestling means a lot to her. She's done a lot of things. She should be very proud of herself for what she's accomplished in this industry. But if you think for 1 second that anybody cares about what she has to say on the mic, you're mistaken. Nobody cares what she has to say on this mic. She's done nothing in the ring or on the mic in many, many months that I've cared about in the slightest. And so she says all of this, and Jade Cargill is about to say something else, and then Jordynne Grace comes out. Because before that, Liv Morgan says, well, Raquel can always just beat you, and no one says anything in the crowd because no one believes this. Why would I believe that Raquel Rodriguez, who is a career jobber, is going to beat the WWE champion? You understand? Like, it's just stupid. Then Jordynne Grace comes out, and then she basically, her and Jade Cargill yell at Liv Morgan while she's trying to talk and tell her to shut up, B word. You know what I'm saying? Shut up, B. Then after that, Nicholas Aldis comes out and sets up a tag match. So we have another tag match, a tag. Everyone tag together and tag up. Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace are teaming up to fight Liv and Raquel. Liv and Raquel are heels. Jade is a heel champion, and Jordynne Grace, I don't know what she is, but that's the combination you have of wrestlers here. So already that makes no sense, and it's stupid. Then Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace, they fight against Liv and Raquel. There's nothing really to say about this match because, quite frankly, nobody cares. You understand what I'm saying? There's a couple spots where Jade Cargill accidentally hits Jordynne Grace, and again, what we have to really ask ourselves, right? When in the world is Jade Cargill going to do anything with this championship? Because we have no idea. There was a spot in the match where Raquel accidentally hits Liv Morgan, and that's basically it. But ultimately, after all the nonsense that takes place here, Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace get the dub, and it's announced that Jade Cargill is going to fight Jordynne Grace for the WWE Championship next week on Smackdown. So I guess something's finally happening, so there you have it. And then Drew McIntyre comes out for a third time. This time he's actually able to cut his promo, and he gets some stuff off his chest. And by stuff off his chest, he doesn't really say much of anything that we haven't already heard. He basically says, that Sami Zayn, everyone thought he was going to win the big one, but you guys knew he wasn't going to win the big one because I'm Drew McIntyre and Sami's not going to win the big one. And then after that, he brought up Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu, how they shouldn't even have a chance to go for the Elimination Chamber because of what they did to the champion tonight on SmackDown, beating him up like cowards. And then he ran away like a coward, so I guess that makes no sense too, but whatever, we'll just move on. He then talks about Roman and Punk. He mentioned Roman's name, and then the crowd just bursts out OTC chants for 30 seconds. After that takes place, Drew has to sit there with the mic in his hand, looking like a sad champion, just sitting there waiting for a guy who's not even there to get chants. After that, Drew McIntyre says CM Punk brought up how, the title doesn't make the man makes the title, and then Drew basically says that when the company was at its worst during COVID, he sat there, and since then he's gone through a lot of crap, he's gone through hell and back, he's done everything he possibly could in order to finally finally earned that WWE Championship, which is complete facts. So I'm glad that Drew stuck up for himself a little bit here. And he basically said that the SmackDown roster, you hearing Punk put down the title and put down the SmackDown brand should cause you to be, work as hard as you've ever have, which I think is a good point. You know what I'm saying? This would have been a good storyline to start for maybe a Survivor Series, like a SmackDown versus Raw kind of storyline, but, it is what it is. Okay, so Drew says all those things, basically says that, he fought through a lot to get that championship and he earned this belt. And then after this, Trick Williams, you know what I'm saying? Trick or Treat Williams comes out there and talks to Drew McIntyre. Doesn't really say much of anything. He's super over though, which is good. Trick Williams basically says that he's gonna lift up his lemon pepper steppers, and the crowd says it with him. So that's now over. So that's pretty cool. He says that he's gonna lift those up on the announce table and watch this qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. And that's basically all he says. Drew McIntyre then gets up in his face, which I thought it was good that Trick came out because Drew just called out the SmackDown roster for they should want to work even harder after what Punk and Roman did, putting down the brand. And Trick coming out as a young guy, a young star, I thought that was great. You know what I'm saying? So that's cool. However, after this, nothing really comes from it. Drew McIntyre gets in his face and says, what's it called? Walk before you run, little bro. Walk before you run. I know you're a young star, but you gotta walk before you run. Walk before you run. Walk before you run. And I can't stop thinking about Trick. Now, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to add that one to the imitation list, you know what I mean? After this, Drew McIntyre says he's going to put the lemon pepper steppers where the sun don't shine, and then he walks off. And then that's that. And the main event was a qualifier for the Elimination Chamber match with Randall Orton, Solo Sikoa, and I think D-Lister Black, or it may have just been Randy and Solo, I have no idea. It ends really stupid with Solo just standing there like a moron waiting to hit a spike, and then Randy Orton just jobs him out and RKOs him while he's just standing there. Very weird, but whatever. Randy punches his ticket to go job out in Chicago in a few weeks because we know he's not winning that chamber most likely, so that's basically that. This show gets an unmitigated 0. Maybe I'll give it a 1 out of 10. Look, is it the worst SmackDown of all time? After going through it, I don't think it's the worst because we've had some genuine 0s and negative 10s out of 10. However, this episode gets a 1 out of 10 from your boy. I'm only giving it a point because, at least Drew McIntyre came out and fought back a little bit, but even then he didn't really do anything. You know what? This episode gets a 0. Why am I playing around? This is terrible. There's no stories, there's no stars, and this episode sucked. It was boring, and I shut it off halfway through. Any episode that has me doing that should immediately be demoted down to a 2 out of 10 max, and this show had nothing really that I'm ever going to look back on and be like, wow, that was good. I may laugh at it because it sucks, but I won't be laughing with it. So this show gets a 0 out of 10, one of the worst SmackDowns probably of all time, and quite frankly, I don't know what they're going to do to fix this show because this is garbage. Whether it's 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 8 hour, 9 hour, it's going to be horrible until they make the necessary creative changes or the roster gets any better. So with that being said, let me know what you thought about SmackDown in the comment section below, and as always, have a phenomenal day. Peace out. And one love.